When we're working with assessments in Brightspace, arguably the most common type of assessment that you'll be seeing in your subject sites is going to be either an assignment or a quiz. We find both of these assessment types underneath the nested assessment menu. This is how students find their assessments, and we're going to look now at the assignment dashboard, which students can get to through the assignments item here. Staff can get to it from there as well. There's also an object here underneath subject admin for staff. If we look underneath assessment, we can find assignments. They both go to exactly the same place, which is called the assignment dashboard. When you open this up, you're going to see, if it's your first time, an area that doesn't have any assignments in it potentially. So I'm going to talk through what this interface involves. We'll see that there are some options at the top, including creating a new assignment item, creating categories or editing existing categories, and a category is one of these subheadings that you see above the assessment links. It can be whatever you want it to be. You call it whatever you like, use it for whatever reason you have for organizing particular assessment items. So we can see here that in this subject they've organized the first assessment, second assessment, etc. by cohort underneath. So they've set up a category for the first assessment item, and because they have multiple portals for multiple cohorts, they've sorted them into this category. At the top here, you'll see the no category item, which you'll have as well on your own dashboard. So once you start creating new categories, you'll see them underneath. You can edit those names, you can delete the category if you like, but it's just a way for you to organize your different assignment items. We also have a more actions menu, which will apply to any object that you check the tick box for on the left hand side here. So you can see things like preview, which will show you what the assignment looks like. You can reorder the items, how they sit within these tables, within the categories. We have an event log, having a look at what's been done within those items. We've got the ability to hide or make visible. So for example, if you've got an assessment that you want to hide, one way of doing it would be to check the box, go to more actions, and you can hide from users. There are several ways to make an object hidden or visible, and we can see that we also have now a series of icons next to each item which give us an idea of what its status is currently. So this first object is hidden. We can see that within its status. If we look down a bit further, we've got some more hidden assignments. Then we have also a cohort or release condition marker, which basically tells me that this has been restricted to a particular group of students. And if we look at the fact that this has a cohort marker at the beginning, so Bathurst Distance Assessment Item 1, that makes a lot of sense. It means this item, when it's been created, has been restricted to one particular cohort of students. So that's just a quick visual confirmation of how the item has been set up. And then there's a ribbon item here which tells me that it is a grade item, and more specifically it tells me that it has been linked to a column in the gradebook. So the ribbon tells me that this item has been set up, and marks from this submission portal for this assignment will flow through to this column in the gradebook, and me hovering my mouse over it will show me that tooltip there which tells me the name of the item it has been linked to. So it has the same where you can see Bathurst Distance in full, simulation based learning. So it just shows me quickly which column it's been connected to. So icons are important in the assignment dashboard because they give you a very quick check of how well set up an item is. If we scroll down a little further, I can see we also have this little page and binoculars icon, which tells me that this is a Turnitin assignment, which means that when the students submit the assignment, it will generate a Turnitin originality score that both the academic and the student will be able to check. You'll also notice that we're starting to see some other information under the assignment titles. So these assignments have been set up with a due date, and there's the due date there, visible for both students and staff if the item is not hidden. This one also has an end date, which tells me that after a certain point, students will no longer be able to submit an assignment. And there are multiple ways that you can use end dates and start dates, and we cover those in different videos. But again, the assignment dashboard provides that quick check, which gives me that information. Yes, there's a due date, which means it'll also be in the calendar for the subject. Students will get notification emails 2 days before it's due, and I can see that date there. And it has an end date, which means when we hit a certain point, students will no longer be able to submit unless they have an extension. So if they've had special access set up for the assignment, then it will bypass the end date. Moving across to the right, and if I go to the top of the assignment dashboard, we'll have a look at these columns just to break down what they mean. New submissions, fairly self-explanatory. Students have made a submission, and when that happens, new ones since the last time I've looked, I haven't opened them before, and they're hyperlinked. So basically I can click on those and it will open up those assignments directly. So I can start the marking process from that column if I wanted to. Then we have completed, which means students have submitted, how many have submitted in total, as opposed to new submissions. So in this case, there are 171 out of 235 in the entire subject. These numbers are not tied to a particular cohort. So that's worth keeping in mind, because even though this is a restricted portal for Bathurst distance students, this column will tell me how many students are enrolled in the subject in total. So it's not based on that cohort. So 171, that makes sense, I guess, given that it is just one of at least 2 cohorts in this subject. Then we have the evaluated column, which means that the assessment tasks have been draft marked. Evaluated means that they have been draft marked. So one of your teaching team has gone in and either begun or finished the marking process, but not yet released it back to students. And that's where we have our final column here that's talking about published. So the difference between evaluation and publishing in Brightspace, evaluation means that whilst the marking process might be finished using draft marked or ready for review, those are 2 different statuses with assignments, we also have published, which means that it has been signed off and released back to students. They would have received a notification email, for example, and as long as the assignment submission portal is talking to the gradebook, so linked to a grade item, as we can see here, then the mark that has been put in underneath the evaluation will flow through to that gradebook column as well. So we talk about marking in some other videos, but again, this quick check in the assignment dashboard is giving me an idea about the status of the submissions as well. So not just the setup of the item, but also the progression through student submission, through marking, and ultimately releasing the papers back to the students. So it does provide quite a lot of information in a fairly short space, and is quite handy to work with, really. So that is the assignment dashboard, and that would then lead you in further to either marking processes, creating new assignments, for example, or changing the settings for some of your existing assignments as well.